Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure most of you know the drill by now. Another day, another free agency video here on the channel. Now I'm going to be honest, if you guys continue to show the support you have been showing on recent videos, I'm going to be pumping these out like crazy. Because as I say every single video, there is so much to talk about, debunk, and discuss in this free agency, whether it's good or bad. And today, as I'm sure you could guess, we are ultimately going to be getting into some of the bad. As if you are a Boston Celtics fan and you are clicking on this video, you are probably the farthest thing from a happy camper at this point in time. Because it's safe to say that what this team has done through the 2021 free agency period so far has been disappointing, to say the very least. Thinking about the entire situation from an outsider's perspective, I think it's safe to say that there is a plan set in stone that this team intends to take, and this is what we are going to be getting into in today's video. One sec for any of you that haven't yet, don't forget to leave a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those noties to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. Now, the Boston Celtics 2021 offseason. I really don't know where I want to begin in this video, because again, thinking about it from the outside, this was an offseason that I anticipate a lot of Boston Celtics fans thought they were going to make some major moves and have a substantial push into the top of the Eastern Conference. But I think it's safe to say, as we are 48 hours into free agency already, that this is simply not the case. As to get into a brief overview of what the Boston Celtics have been able to do so far, as they were able to pick up Enes Kanter once again for his second stint in Boston to a one-year minimum deal contract, which is a signing that a lot of people might initially push to the side, but when you think about the fact that Enes Kanter put up his highest field goal percentage in a season, along with his highest rebounds per game average as well, while only playing relatively 24 minutes a game for the Portland Trailblazers, seems to be a very underrated signing in terms of adding depth to this Boston roster, at least in my eyes. And another move that was made that doesn't necessarily revolve around free agency was the fact of them dealing Tristan Thompson to the Sacramento Kings and getting some pieces back in a 3-team trade that include players such as Al Horford once again, while also adding Kris Dunn to this roster as well. And I know there were definitely a lot of questions floating around some of these moves, especially when you consider the fact that the Boston Celtics considerably have 8 guards on their current roster. I'm going to be the first to tell you that this isn't going to stay put, and you'll probably see some of these players move before the season begins, but nonetheless, just take that as a sign that there might be more work to do for Boston. But either way, Celtics also, in what might be considered their biggest move in free agency, were able to obtain Josh Richardson from the Dallas Mavericks, which I will also point out right now, I know some Celtics fans and NBA fans in general are going to say that Josh Richardson is no longer good, which I can confidently tell you is not the case, as I feel like this is the kind of player that needs to be thrown into the right situation for them to really thrive in their role. I also do want to mention Udoka actually was a coach for Josh Richardson when they were in Philadelphia together, so there are definitely some connections and reason as to why they traded for him. But regardless of the facts we just mentioned, I think almost every Celtics fan is sitting back after these first 48 hours of free agency and saying to themselves, what in the world are we doing? And that is definitely a fair assessment, as from an outsider's perspective, I expected the Boston Celtics to be one of the teams making a lot of noise in this free agency period, but with them not doing so, I feel as if it has opened the doors to the idea and concept that the Boston Celtics are full head-on chasing going forward. To put it as simply as I can for anyone not aware of what they're trying to do, I will explain the Boston Celtics plan in 3 words. 2022 free agency. Well, actually, would 2022 even be considered a word? I don't know, maybe it's one number and 2 words. But anyway, you guys, I think it's very clear that with Brad Stevens' takeover of this team, that they are not fully pushing for a championship this year without using the pieces they already have in front of them. I think it was also very clear to Brad Stevens when he took over that if the Boston Celtics were going to try to pursue a 3rd star to play alongside Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that the 2021 free agency period was not going to be the year to do so, as the top 3 superstars to headline the 2021 class were Kawhi Leonard, who was more than likely going to be re-signing with the LA Clippers, Chris Paul, who already has re-signed with the Phoenix Suns but was an iffy choice for a team like Boston anyway, and last but not least, DeMar DeRozan, who also I feel like would not be a decent fit into the Celtics rotation they currently have set up right now. You know, if I was a Boston Celtics fan and I was thinking about what they have done so far in this sense, I honestly would not be mad about it. Like we just mentioned, the odds of them getting a top tier star were very unlikely. Then when you also think about the potential free agents in the 2022 class, such as John Wall, Bradley Beal, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, I could go on and on. It really doesn't seem that bad to just focus on the young players they have right now, develop them into even better players, and then focus next year on getting another superstar. And with mentioning that, I know there is one name at the top of that list I just brought up that many Celtics fans have their eyes on. Yes, of course, this is none other than Bradley Beal, who I should mention as well does have the opportunity to opt out of a $36 million player option with the Wizards next season. I'm sure many NBA fans know this as well, that Bradley Beal and Jayson Tatum are actually close friends as they grew up in the same state of Missouri. So yeah, it's actually pretty funny because from what I've seen so far with Celtics free agency talk, I have seen more discussions around Bradley Beal next year than any of the moves they have made this year. But hey, like I've said time and time again, at least Brad Stevens seems to have a plan in front of him for the Celtics. We also do need to realize that even though we're saying that the Celtics are going to essentially stall until 2022 free agency, this is a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals just 2 years ago and made it to the playoffs last year as well, but ran into some unlucky injuries. So with that being said, and the obvious continual improvement of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown year by year, this Celtics team will not be a pushover this year by any means whatsoever, which is an idea that I feel many NBA fans in general are starting to develop. So if I'm a Celtics fan looking at this team right now, I'm hoping to shock a lot of people in 2022 and in turn just become more of an incentivized team for a star player like Bradley Beal to want to come to next offseason. I don't know, you guys, it's been safe to say that the Celtics 2022 campaign so far has not been what all of their fans have necessarily expected, but I honestly do have some optimism with this team, and I feel like there are going to be a lot of exciting moments for this team going forward as well. Whether that's this season, next offseason, etc., Celtics fans, keep your heads up. You guys know you got a bright future with this team in front of you. But on that note, I'm also really curious to know what you guys think of the Boston Celtics situation so far in 2021 free agency. So please let me know in the comments below who was one player you really wanted the Boston Celtics to sign this offseason that they ultimately didn't. Because I do know there were a lot of potential targets for the Celtics going into free agency, but now that we are already 48 hours in, a lot of those opportunities have dwindled, so please let me know. But along with that, I'm really hoping you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, don't forget to go leave a like on it down below and subscribe while you're down there. Brand new NBA videos on a daily basis, you guys. We're covering any NBA free agency topic you can think of. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. But again, I just wanted to say one last time, thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate y'all more than anything in the entire world. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.